Welcome to the February 24th, 2021 meeting of the Town of Southampton Conservation Board. In accordance with the governor's executive orders, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely via video conference until further notice. So we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. The link to participate in this meeting via Zoom can be found on the town's website. This meeting is also live streamed on the town's website. If you do not wish to speak at the live meeting, but you would like to submit comments for the public record, the link to submit comments can also be found on the town's website. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the discussion and vote on the application. Also, as a reminder, we ask that applicants and their agents please state their names and addresses for the record. Please join us together as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as is our custom, we'll do the roll call. Harry Ludlow, present. George?
Here.
Anne?
Here.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Tom?
I'm Rickin back here.
And Michael?
Mike Tessitore here.
Public hearings. A019100, the Colonel's Way LLC. The applicant requested adjournment to March 10th. Is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak in this application? Charlie, do you see anybody there?
See no hands.
How many other hearings that night? I know we've been scheduling into March.
We have, looks like with this hearing, we'll have 5. We also received a second request for an adjournment to the same night, which would give us 6 hearings that night.
Got to put somebody later. This is a request for an adjournment. Have we heard this one before?
No, we haven't. And
But it's been opened and adjourned.
yes, they were the first to request an adjournment to March 10th.
Okay. Well, 5 and 6 is unmanageable in my opinion.
God bless you.
Bless you. I would suggest moving it to a later date to make it more manageable.
We can do that. Looking at March 24th, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
April.
But then it lightens up. April 14th, we only have 1.
April 14th. I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Harry, aye. George?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
A020033, Cow Neck Preserve LLC. The applicant has requested an adjournment also for March 10th.
Motion to adjourn to April 14th.
What he wants to do is put down on paper to submit a drawing for us to explore one of the alternatives we talked about the last meeting, and that is using a split rail fence or a variation of a split rail fence.
Along the line of the wetlands, or is perpendicular across the beach?
Along the line of the beach, parallel to the shore.
Parallel.
Roughly parallel to the shore, not leaving access for four-wheel drive vehicular traffic along the entire beach.
I still think 5 hearings in each of the next 2 meetings is too much to accommodate anybody new. I say move April 14th.
I hear you, Tom, but this is an application that we've adjourned and been working on intently, and it seems like we're just about where we need to be. Do you think there's any way we could do this at the next meeting? I think
Are they still looking to make a sanctuary, a 3-year study sanctuary? Is that being abandoned?
that would be abandoned.
Cool. And they're gonna rip down that other fence and put this fence in place of it probably, right?
I don't want to get into the application much since we're not having him present here to talk. I don't know the details. That is a possibility. It may be he want to leave that up for a while to make sure the first fence is effective, or the second fence is effective. But those are details that will have to come out at the hearing. And when he draws that and puts it on paper, hopefully he'll submit enough time so that at least Marty and some of the board members can take a look at it.
I don't think it'll take that long.
If you think we can do it the next meeting, then we can have a motion, entertain a motion for that.
I'll
would
withdraw
just-
my motion.
I would just like to strike while the iron's hot, Tom.
I withdraw my motion. You guys decide.
I'll make a motion to schedule it for next meeting. I think that this should go pretty quick. Like,
Second.
It's been moved in a second. All in favor, say aye. Harry, aye. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
aye.
A020040, James and Elizabeth Lou Remkus. This is the first time for this application, and we need to see if the affidavits are in order. And Kara, I see you're there, but muted.
Charles, just so you know, Kieran Murphy should be online. She's representing the property owner at this point.
Okay, thank you. She's coming in.
Okay. And Charlie, you got Kara there.
I'm trying to reach her.
Okay, hello, this is Kieran.
Kieran, we're just waiting for Kara to weigh in on the affidavits.
Okay.
Charles, Kara just sent me a
I'm trying
text.
to
She's
get
having
her.
problems.
I'm
with
trying to
mute-
get her. I'm trying to unmute her. I have no, there she goes.
There we go.
She's unmuted now.
Okay, Kara, welcome.
Welcome, can I start?
Not yet.
Okay,
We need to get authorization from our attorney that everything's in order so that we can open the hearing.
She's unmuted, but I don't have her voice.
Okay, Kara, can you hear us?
Charles, do you need her cell phone? She's got her phone too.
Well,
It's a 516-521 number.
we can even chat. I don't know what I could tell her that's gonna make it work. You can send a chat to me privately with her number. and I'll call.
Okay, hold on. Okay, Charles, I just sent it to you. Meanwhile, Kara did tell me that the affidavits are in order.
Okay, so let's wait just a moment so that Kara can,
While we're waiting, just a point of information. Did we have any minutes we were supposed to approve before we started the hearings?
we did, and we didn't even do that. I went right to the hearings.
Yeah, I guess you did.
So let's do that after the hearings.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'm just getting a voicemail. I just asked her to call me back. If she calls me back, I can put her on speakerphone. How about that? She's not muted anymore. I don't know why. You can't hear.
That may be her town hall
That's
computer.
true. That's true. Let me see if she's on the other side here. Yeah, I don't have a phone. Oh, I don't have a phone number up there either. I'm just gonna tell her to dial in.
Why don't you table this for a minute and approve the minutes of the meeting? Get things done.
We could do that.
Table this.
Actually, we don't even have to table it because we don't have it opened yet since we haven't gotten authorization.
Okay, whatever.
So let's do the minutes then. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of February 10th, 2021 as written and or amended?
Move.
I think I have her now.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Harry, aye. George?
Aye.
Ann?
I abstain. I wasn't there at the meeting.
Jerry?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Michael? Okay, now we can go back to the public hearing. Kara, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
great.
introduce the application again. A020040 James and Elizabeth Lou Rumpkus.
Okay, I have reviewed the affidavit of mailings and the affidavit of postings, all in order and in compliance with the town code. The board has jurisdiction.
Thank you. Karen, you may present your
Okay.
application.
Good evening. I'm Kieran Pate Murphy. I'm an attorney representing the owners Elizabeth Remkes and James Remkes. Their Mrs. Remkes' son submitted the application, and I am here tonight to speak on behalf of them. This property is in an R15 zone. It's 15,571 square feet. It has a pre-existing CO. The CO number is CO700155. And that's for a pre-existing waterfront cape, 2-car detached garage. And, oh, good, you put it on. And you can see it has a deck which doesn't have a permit, but I'd like to start out with the pool first. This will have to, assuming I can get some approvals here and work out something that's environmentally beneficial, I'll have to go to the ZBA, but after talking with Teresa, and it makes sense to go to you guys first because this is waterfront. It's on Sag Harbor Cove, which is a very pristine area of Sag Harbor. I drive by Long Beach every day and I see, you know, the area that going to North Haven where there's no Phragmites and it's just beautiful. I mean, I grew up out here, but anyhow, my address is 1 Bayberry Lane, Sag Harbor, New York, 11963. Okay, so this property has 3 front yards. You'll see Harbor Avenue is kind of, it's not really paved the full length. It's kind of been overtaken. That's why you have the wetland boundary there. The pool is would be put right in front of the garage, and it's 10 by 20 feet, and it would be a ozone purification system, and the pool equipment would be put inside that garage. And along the, it's 10 feet, which is, and 13.5 feet with the patio, which is the standard side yard for an accessory structure in this zone, but it's actually in a front yard. So that would be an issue. We'd have to go to the ZBA. It'll have an ozone purification system, and there's a tree right there in front, so they don't want to really turn it. I want to point out to the west, there's 27 Bayview Road. Also, I put an exhibit in. I don't know if you can show it on the screen, of just showing the area. Every piece of this property that's not a structure, I just put it in today. It's just all grass, and there's a couple of trees. And this has a concrete bulkhead, but there's no, except for the arborvitae's shading, Sag Harbor, Harbor Avenue, it really doesn't have anything. On the other side, there's a hedge. So anyhow, going to the west, there's, yeah, I just wanted to show you kind of the area where they'd be putting the pool. And you can see it's an old house, and the grass is old, and it has there's a fence back there. Going to the west, just looking at the neighborhood, going back to, I guess, the survey, there is on 27 Bayview Avenue, and it's got an approval in this certificate of compliance is dated February 28, 2019. And you look in the GIS, which I'll put this in the record, it has an approval September 7, 2016, and that happens to have a pool. And I'm not talking about this property, I'm talking about a property that's one house over to the west that is 26.7 by 12.3 feet. And it's also on the side, is 328 square feet. Now that property doesn't have a concrete bulkhead, and the house was, I guess, new and rebuilt. It's much bigger, but it's on a property that's, according to the survey, is 15,919 square feet. And again, it doesn't have a concrete bulkhead. Meanwhile, the property is about the same length from the road to the highway. We would, for mitigation, that area that is in front, native revegetation plan. I mean, there's that area from the pool to that concrete block area there, which I believe my clients are willing to remove that, and because that's an issue. And then the next issue, moving right along, is the deck, which they would like to keep that deck. There's a tree there where you see the concrete is, and it doesn't really, I mean, it's already built. They should have come to you guys first, but they didn't, and they didn't get a permit. So that's why we're here. That will also require a variance. But again, they're willing to remove that concrete patio. Finally, there's a little fence along that concrete wall, and maybe it's a metal fence. I can submit a picture. It's maybe 2.5 feet wide or something. I mean, it's used to, they have a little dog that runs around. So, I mean, they would have to change that, or, probably upgrade, just get an approval for it. Obviously, they'll have to do something with the pool. They'll have to enclose that with some kind of fence. And I think that's all of the areas. And again, this is an old area of Sag Harbor, and it's got 3 front yards. So we're trying to get right now it's just grass, and there's we removed the deck and not get the pool, I mean, it's still, you just got a bunch of grass, leaching into the Sag Harbor Cove. So, there's a lot of area, I think, for revegetation. Yes, it's not going to meet the 75-foot setbacks or for revegetation buffer. It's only 161 feet long on one side and 150 on the other side. But like I said, there's a pool 2 doors down, and I'm sure I can find a bunch of other pools. But anyhow, I wanted to, start a dialogue, and my clients want to work with this board, and then we'll have to see if we can even get a variances. So anyhow, that's kind of where we're at now. I'd like to hear maybe, what your thoughts are, if there's any other kind of mitigation.
Thank you, Karen. I do have a couple of questions, and then I want to ask Marty, unless the board has other questions, I want to ask Marty to give his input also. Would you just share with the board the setback from the wetlands for the pool?
Are you asking me or Marty?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Oh, it's on the survey?
Yeah, the
Because
survey is so
street-
small on the screen that I can't read it.
Okay, it's 46. The closest point for the deck that's around the pool is 46.0 feet, because the road, half the road is gone. It's dirt. And people just, I guess, drive down and it's just dirt. It's not, the asphalt's kind of gone.
So there's a bulkhead on this property, you said?
Just in the front. They
Okay.
have trees just supporting the side here, and I think it's a 4-foot fence.
So I'm interested to find the wetland line, and that is it at the bulkhead or is it seaward of the bulkhead?
It goes along the bulkhead, and then it goes out
I see.
past the property.
Okay, I see that now.
Can you see it now? It's kind of in the
Yes, okay.
right-hand corner. So that's why, I mean, if the road was paved, it'd be, a little bit more. The other property, they were 83 feet away. But again, that one to the west,
Well, let's talk about this
we're
property.
able to move everything closer to the road. But this is an old house, and, the
Okay.
garage is there.
All right, thank you. Marty,
Teresa Mason is going to present this application.
Hi, good evening. Teresa Mason from the Environment Division. I did the review on this application and I flagged the wetlands initially on this property. If you do look at the survey, you'll see this blue line that runs along the concrete bulkhead along the northerly property line, and then it wraps around and extends landward of the concrete return to the road end. And the average high water mark comes up well beyond the return and well past the return on the road end there. So it's not just a matter of the fact that there's a road end there and part of it's dirt, it's that it's dirt because it's underwater. And so the applicant is seeking to legalize the existing deck on the north side of the house, which is 10 feet from the wetlands boundary. I guess they're willing to give up the concrete patio, which is 11 feet from the wetlands boundary. And then the swimming pool is 51 feet with the deck 46 feet from the wetlands boundary. Just to make clear, even on a property that is fully bulkheaded and doesn't have wetlands that extend beyond the return and landward of the return, I can't think of a single instance where the Conservation Board has granted a deck 10 feet from those wetlands. More often than not, your general setback requirements, if the parcel was fully bulkheaded with no wetlands landward of the return, the setbacks you usually require on fully bulkheaded lots is about 35 feet with a 25-foot buffer. Obviously, the house is pre-existing non-conforming. We understand that. It's at 28 feet. So our recommendation is that they remove and dismantle the deck and then construct it within that nook in the northeasterly corner. And that way it'll have some kind of deck with a 4-foot walk connecting the existing glass doors to the walkway, and then remove the concrete patio and then put in a buffer. With respect to the swimming pool, 46 feet and 51 feet for the deck and the pool respectively from the tidal waters is significant relief that they're requesting. I know she did point out an adjoining property, the adjoining property to the west, 2 lots down. Not only did they have nearly twice the setback requirement, or setback from the swimming pool, but they also provided nearly 75-foot buffer. So this apples and oranges to make that comparison. They're requesting half the relief the other lot got, and they cannot even come close to providing the amount of buffer that was required on the adjacent property. So it's our recommendation that they abandon the pool, and then that they dismantle the existing deck and reconstruct it in that nook on the northeasterly corner of the house, and then provide the required buffer.
This nook you talked about on the northeasterly side of the house.
Mm-hmm. Where you see there's concrete and some steps?
Yes. Okay. All
So
right,
then could it, excuse me, so then it could stick out a little bit then?
Yeah,
If we
I
have
don't
the
see that.
steps, I have to figure that out, whatever.
No,
but-
in our preliminary advisory report, we said along that northerly area where the existing deck is now, you would have a 4-foot path from the existing sliding, or 4-foot deck from the existing sliding glass doors to a deck in that corner.
Okay, because we don't want to cut down that tree.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't need to cut down that tree.
Oh, okay, I'm just asking, I'm not, I can't measure it right now, so.
Yeah, no, I don't see
that
that would be an issue, cutting down that, you wouldn't, I could foresee you building a deck that would preserve that tree.
Or moving it over. But the pool is just gonna be a fiberglass, like putting it in that area. And, they're willing to revegetate. I mean, no one in an R15 with a 15,000 square foot lot can ever meet the wetlands revegetation setbacks. I mean, it can never happen. So, with the pool, they're going to use ionization. I throw this out, and this is something but I want you to maybe back out. Can you, what do you call it? Step back from the survey a little bit. Yeah. If you see on the bottom there, we're talking about mitigation. It says septic. Okay. So that's a really old septic system. So if we just get rid of the deck and get rid of the pool, this property is polluting the bay. My client's willing to make a good, because he can't, I don't know what the health department would do, but to upgrade their septic to the new system. Because guess what? There's nothing stopping them. There's nothing in the code to make them change that. And in July, maybe if you build a new house, you'll have to have it, or renovation, but there's a septic system. So I offer that as mitigation plus revegetation. I'll talk to my client about moving the deck and getting rid of the concrete pad. And again, we have to go to the ZBA, and I don't know if they're going to give me the pool or not. But I think there has to be some, there's an old house here, an old garage. They're willing to put the equipment in the garage. It's just something that when I was looking at this and just really what really pollutes these bays, it's all these houses with these old septic systems. And this is pre-existing. That could be 50 or 60 years old, because all I just see is septic. Because I grew up on an old house, and it was pretty scary. I've seen what those old septics are, and I'm sure it's leaching into the bay. So I throw that out as a mitigation to get the pool. So,
Kieran, this is Marty. I just had a question in the interest of exploring practical alternatives for the pool. Is there any opportunity to put the pool on the roadside of the house and rework the drive entry to the garage and shift the entry to the garage to the roadside? I'm not sure where your septic system is, but
it's
you
right
have
there. It's right, you can see it on the,
Okay.
it's on the
Uh,
bottom there, right in the
I
front.
see. So is there any opportunity to put that pool on the roadside of the house and rework the drive? So you have a straightaway going to the garage?
You're saying move the garage forward?
No, leave the garage where it is. Right now you have a circular drive. And I assume the entry to the garage is on the west side. Is there any opportunity to shift the garage entry to the roadside and have a straightaway drive and parking area coming in from the road, thereby freeing up the area between the house and the septic system for pool construction rather than putting the pool on the seaward side of the garage?
I don't think they want to put it in the front yard. I mean,
As a reminder, I do believe that's going to be a rear yard because it is a waterfront lot. So usually the street side, the
know.
side opposite of water is a rear yard.
well, how many feet back? I mean, right now it's 46 feet. So, I mean, it's a 2-car garage, and I have to talk to my client, but what happens if the garage was like cut in half and the pool moved another, 20 feet back?
Well, it would likely make sense to look at that option as well. One of the reasons that I recommended that you look at putting the pool on the roadside of the house is you would likely have a considerable area for a pool deck or a patio as well. I haven't actually been to the property, so I don't know how that fits in with the aesthetics of the residents. It just seems like you have a lot more land area to work with. And it might actually work out quite nicely on this property and may not actually require a variance. Seems that you're in a tough position in terms of getting a ZBA variance. So I would just recommend that you explore that as a possible option.
Okay, yeah, because it has the rear yard setback, but that's for the primary structure, but the rear yard,
I think rear yards for R15 are like 10, 15 feet. I don't think they're that large in an R15 zoning district. I don't have the code book in front of me where I would
no, I
have that.
think you're right. No, you're definitely right about that.
10 feet.
So,
If you put the pool there, where would you put the IAWTS system?
There's
Put the new septic.
there still seems to be considerable room for the
pool,
edit.
I just got a note that the pool would be 20 feet from the septic if it's put in the front yard.
Which is allowable as per the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. You would have to, go through the exercise of, looking at how the pool could fit in. It just seems like it would be in a much better protected location from storm impacts. And you also may have a greater opportunity for a patio or a deck area.
I'm just writing that down. That's all.
While still having sufficient area for the IA. And then again, you may be able to avoid the need to get a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
But we still have Harbor Road as a front yard.
But remember what zone you're in. You're in an R15 zone. So you would comply with the required accessory setbacks.
Is there any way that you can meet with Marty's office? We can adjourn this for a different time. And
Okay,
you could go over some of the recommendations as well as maybe see what other practicable alternatives there are. Because it just seems like we're kind of, usually we have the hearings based on what we're going to give an opinion on, and now it seems like you're willing to make some changes.
yes.
And I think it'd be good if you met with Marty's office and sat down with him, and this way you didn't have to, go over, this whole thing right now with the board, and not be able to get it accomplished.
Okay, I think that's a good idea, but I wanted to get in front of you all, and Teresa gave a lot of good advice, but when she said no pool, I'm like, I gotta have a pool. I mean,
This is a public hearing. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it seems like you need more back and forth with Marty's office.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the
But
thing.
I would like to point out that, again, just for the conversation, saying, you did just say that everybody has to have a pool. A pool is an accessory, as a reminder. You are not required to have a swimming pool. The Conservation Board is not required to grant relief for swimming pools. It is an accessory. So
I
that
know,
is something to keep in
yes.
mind. I understand everybody wants a swimming pool, but that, again, is something to keep in mind. And we want to work with you so that everybody can find a middle ground, but that is something to keep in mind.
So
I
we
know.
need
And,
to see if there's any public comment, and then we can adjourn this for April 24th, April 14th. Is that
Okay,
enough time? Karen?
I just wanted to say, though, it is the Hamptons, and, I didn't ask for a tennis court, so you have to, my client did show some restraint, so anyhow,
All right, is there anyone?
I really appreciate you listening and taking the time. And I look forward to working with Teresa and Marty on getting something that will benefit everybody, which hopefully includes a pool.
So Charlie, is there anybody in the audience with their hand up?
I see no hands.
Is there a motion to adjourn to, Kieran, is April 14th? Does that work for you?
Yes,
So moved.
Second,
okay.
All in favor? Harry, aye. George?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Tom?
aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Good night.
The next
All right.
application is
Thank
A020044, Jason and Allison Vidnitsky. And this is-
Robert Bichette should be there.
okay, and Kara, do you have the affidavits?
Coming in.
Yes, I reviewed the affidavit of mailing and the affidavit of posting. They both in compliance with the provisions of the town code, so the board has jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Robert, and are you presenting this application?
Yes, I am the attorney for the applicants, Robert Fischetti, Ferdinand Fischetti, 320 Hampton Road, Southampton. My client, Jason Libnitsky, I believe, probably has his hand raised to be let in.
I don't see him.
Well, I will text him and then we'll just proceed. If I could, would I be able to share my screen? Is that okay?
Yes,
Just-
you may.
okay. Okay, is that coming up okay for everybody? You can see the
Yeah.
site plan?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is an application for relief from the required wetland setbacks for a 16 by 32 foot saltwater gunite pool, a patio, deck, and outdoor shower. The closest distance to the wetlands from the pool is 69.1 feet, and it's approximately 115 feet to the pond. So the property is, as I said, Seven Turtle Pond. It's about 42,853 square feet. It's improved with a single family residence, 1 story, a rear deck, and a detached garage. There is already an existing 75-foot buffer, which was imposed by an application back in 2013 for that garage that you see there. That was an administrative permit for that. So this, I mean, it seems to be the sort of the maximum practicable buffer for this property, given the pre-existing improvements, that were already there. The pool and other proposed improvements will not encroach at all onto the buffer. I think the buffer seems pretty substantial in relation to the lots along Turtle Pond. As you can see, there's 10 lots on Turtle Pond that have or it's 10 lots that front on Turtle Pond. 5 of them have pools already. They all are, most of them are older where there wasn't really wetlands setback measurements, but I did, just to give you a little perspective, give the setbacks for the pond, 80 feet, 82 feet, 100 feet, and another one at 70 feet. So just in general, we would have a greater setback from the pond than these other properties. Again, it's the property is an aquifer, so it is going to remain 50% vegetated. Is really a not a heavily developed lot. The existing lot coverage is 7.51%. And this, these improvements are not going to change that dramatically. So we're not talking about a lot that is heavily developed. There is groundwater test hole data on the site plan that shows our pool would still maintain a 2-foot separation from the groundwater. Probably the biggest practical difficulty with this lot is that when it was built, the CO was 1978. In 72, it was upzoned to R40. So the setback, the house is built probably, it's an L shape, which makes things worse, but it's like 30 to maybe even 50 feet further back than it needs to be, depending on whether you're looking at the main part or that front leg part. So that, there's all this lost space in the front yard that really sandwiches everything in the back. And squeezes us between the wetland setback and the existing location of the house. As I said, there'd be no. So the pool, where the pool is proposed to go, is all lawn already, so we wouldn't be disturbing any natural vegetation. We would, of course, take all the customary mitigation measures during construction. We did already scale this back. There was our first site plan had a slightly larger pool, which, based on Mr. Shea's recommendations, we scaled it back to 16 by 32 and kept it fully out of the buffer. And I believe it does not even pierce any of the the aquifer 50% wooded area. I think that's really all I have as far as a description of what we're doing. I know my client wanted to join. I don't know if he's popped up on your screen at all.
He's here. Jason is here.
Oh, yes. Okay, great. I don't know if he has anything he wanted to add, but that is the gist of our application. I don't know if I mentioned there's also the outdoor shower, which is proposed on the back of the garage. There were a couple of, in Marty's report, there were a couple of items that were in the buffer. Those were removed. There was, you can see there was a fire pit that was removed, and there was a trampoline that was removed as well. So I think that's all I have, unless my client wants to add anything.
Thank you, Robert. And Marty, is this your application?
Yes, it is. Good evening, Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated January 11, 2021. The report asks that the applicant explore practicable alternatives as the current project plans call for construction of an in-ground swimming pool 69.1 feet from wetlands and building of a patio 66 feet from wetlands with a retaining wall and some utilities, also at less than the required 100-foot setback. The deck, the rear deck addition that's planned would be at a conforming setback. So in the interest of looking at whether or not there are options that could conform with the minimum required wetland construction setbacks, I did find that if the pool was shifted to the northwest corner of the house and built partially within the existing deck area, 10-foot by 32-foot pool could be built at a 100-foot setback with an 8-foot setback off the house. The second option that I asked the applicant to evaluate would be if the pool was put in that location again, the pool dimensions would be 10 feet by 32 feet. As the applicant is looking to build a 16-foot by 32-foot pool, I did find that a pool of that size could be built 94 feet from wetlands in a similar location, and the closer setbacks could be offset by expanding the buffer from 6 feet to 81 feet. So there certainly is an opportunity on this property to construct a sizable pool in either a conforming setback or in a setback that's close to conforming with a minor expansion of the existing buffer. So I am asking the applicant to evaluate those alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you. I know my client has considered the alternatives. So to address, I guess, to shift the pool over to where the existing deck is and lose that deck. I mean, the entire flow, I've been in the house, the entire flow of the house and the rear of the house sort of flows onto that deck, and it's raised up, in addition to that. So if we were to lose that deck and put a pool there, it's just sort of leave the house in sort of an odd situation of having the main sitting room lead off sort of off a cliff before going to the pool. I don't know. I don't have in front of me what the side yard setbacks are for R40, but I think it would be definitely a balance of putting that in there. I mean, practically speaking, we have the 75-foot buffer, which is a substantial buffer. There's one angle at which this we get within that 69 or so feet from the wetlands, and that's the wetlands over on the neighbor's property. From our property, from our wetlands on our property, as have been flagged, we maintain that 75-foot buffer. We're not asking to change that. There's not, as I said, the area where the pool would go is all lawn already. It would be a saltwater pool. It would be, a good couple of feet from the groundwater. I just don't see the major difference in environmental impact between the current location. I mean, obviously proximity, I understand it will be slightly closer, but as far as an environmental impact, I just don't understand what the difference would be in the proposed location as opposed to putting it off, sort of off on the side of the property, which it really wouldn't flow with the way the property goes, the way the house comes out behind it. There's already a swing set and some other things over there. I don't know. I mean, I'll let my client chime in if you'd like, but I think there's, we also have the water line over there, which would be another issue that we would have to deal with. And that and demolishing the deck. I mean, it seems like we're starting to build up a hardship against my client, as far as what he'd have to do just to achieve what he could do without all of that, which again, I don't see I don't understand what the major difference in environmental impact would be in those two locations.
So just to comment on that, again, code requires that new construction be sited at least 100 feet landward of wetlands in order to provide adequate mitigation for related impacts. As part of the alternative analysis, I did look at the required side yard setbacks and the concept plans that I discussed in terms of possible options would conform with the required dimensional setbacks. And while the resiting of the pool would require removal of some of the existing deck, it would still be an opportunity to build a new deck and or patio as part of the pool construction. I also looked to site the pool in a manner so that you wouldn't have to rework the water line. So you need to actually go through the exercise of looking at possible alternative configurations and locations in order to see what actually works. You're required by code, if you're not meeting the minimum 100-foot setback, to maximize the setback. And the buffer right now, while portions are 75 feet wide, the entire buffer is not 75 feet wide, as you can see on the eastern portion of the property. So there is a need to bring that buffer into conformance as well. I usually, when I make recommendations in terms of options, I just provide a concept, and then, as required by code, wait on the applicant to do an alternative analysis to show whether or not those options would work or not. In the absence of that, I'm certainly happy to forward alternative sketches so that the landowners have better opportunity to look at whether or not some of these other options would work for this site. I'm not asking that the pool plans be abandoned. Looking to find a way to build a similar size pool or even a larger pool, but in a way that's more compatible with the requirements of the code. So it may be in the applicant's interest to adjourn the hearing tonight to provide a greater opportunity to look at some of the options on this property in the interest of increasing the setbacks, because the code directs you to do that. And even if you find that the required setbacks can't be met, at least there's an opportunity to provide greater structural and natural buffer setbacks than are currently being proposed at this time.
Are there any mitigative measures that you see that would help to further the current location?
Well, generally, when you're seeking relief from the required construction setbacks, we look to increase the required buffer at a 1-to-1 ratio. It would not be possible looking at your current plan. So, I think we need to look at the benefits of redesign and possibly shifting that pool further landward. And again, I'm quite flexible and open with regards to looking at options that provide for significant decking and patio space as well. The primary goal is to maximize the setback for the pool itself as much as possible.
Excuse me, Marty. It's Jerry.
Well,
In your meetings with the applicant, was there an IAOWTS discussed at all?
No, we didn't. I didn't actually meet with the agent. I did have an opportunity to briefly meet with one of the landowners at the site, but no discussion was had with regards to septic upgrade. As this board knows, I typically only recommend that a septic upgrade be considered if the living area of the house is being expanded. This is a case where the applicant is only proposing accessory improvements.
I believe the septic system was somewhat recently, possibly in that 2013 renovation, redone. So it is not a septic system that is as old as the house. It is fairly new, as you can see in the front yard there.
it was 2015 was when it was upgraded. If I may,
Yeah, but it doesn't reduce nitrogen, so it's
correct.
it's just like being an old system. Anyway.
Oh, I understand. I just was given the specs on what's there.
May I just for a second just
ahead.
Name on the record, please.
my name, Jason Liebnitsky.
So go ahead, Jason.
Good evening, board members, and I appreciate the certainly the time and the consideration. I didn't have the opportunity to meet Mr. Shea at the site, but he did meet with my wife Allison, who unfortunately can't join us right now. She's, I think, running the kids around the soccer practice or something right now. But I just want to take a second and just kind of give a brief history of us. I mean, my wife and I bought the house, 10 years ago. The house was built in 1978, and we, at the time, were looking for something that needed a little bit of work. Little did I know it needed a lot of bit of work when we moved in, but it was something that we both, at the time with one child, could accommodate our needs and knew that we were going to expand our family and we could renovate and do some work as kind of the years went on. Today we've got three children and at the time a pool wasn't even a thought. Today it is, now that they are older, and we've lived in the house, we've expanded it. We're full-time residents to the town of Southampton. Our children go to Southampton schools. They're pretty active, I like to think, in the community. We bought the piece of property and we looked at a lot of houses in the area. We bought this property because for the things that we all love, we love we love the pond. We love the wildlife that we see in our backyard, that my kids get to walk down to the pond and see and be a part of. The last thing we want to do is be disruptive. And I'm certainly looking to do anything, as Mr. Bichetti had pointed out early on. We put our application in, and Mr. Shea had had made some recommendations early on about the pool being, I don't think we encroached on the buffer at the time, but we were. The concern was that the pool was a little too large, and during construction, I think it would impact, could impact the the buffer. So I shrunk the pool down and tried to make best use of the space. And as Mr. Fischetti had pointed out, that the way the house is built, if you were to see the rear of the home, that the existing deck sits about 5 feet off the elevation grade. The proposed deck would sit about 2.5 feet off the proposed. I have a sunken living room that comes off of that, that would come onto that deck. So when we were looking at the area for the pool, we have 2 nice sliders that come off the back, and you have great visibility, as Mr. Fischetti pointed out. It's the living space off the back of the property and off the back of the home. So we'd have the pool would ideally be to the right of that living space and not visible. I certainly, my preference is certainly to ask for some strong consideration of keeping the pool where it is right now. If need be, I'd be willing to, or interested in, if it gave some additional relief of moving, maybe sliding the pool over a few feet to again get away from that buffer a little bit more. But I really would like to keep the size of the pool and most certainly keep it the distance away from the home as well, the rear side of the home. It is a pretty crowded backyard as it is, and I'm trying to obviously keep as much of the area open for my my kids to continue to kind of play and do their thing. So anyway,
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So, while the chief environmental analyst has made, a comment saying that, usually would request an IA system with an increase in living space, the town law is about floor space. And if you so for instance, if you converted a basement into living space, that would not be 25% floor space. So you wouldn't have to put in an IA system. But as Jerry was kind of leading, another alternative would be is if you were willing to put in an IA OWTS septic system. This board has looked at projects like that as mitigation, being that you don't have to put one in. And I'm sure, this area would benefit from having an IA system. Like you said, there are other homes in the area that do have pools, and that's another practicable alternative in terms of, maybe looking at that. If, because I look at where the pool is and I'd say, wow, if it had an IA system, I really wouldn't have that big of a deal. But if it doesn't have an IA system, I don't see why it can't go over to the left. You know what I mean? So I think there's an opportunity here to maybe get an IA system in this area. And I think that it would benefit the environment and your property as well. So that's just a suggestion that I would make.
I appreciate it, and I had from my my last the preliminary meeting, I considered it. I looked into it. I'm like with the entire process of of purchasing the home and doing some renovations, and certainly I know I'm adding, I'm not adding living space, I'm adding an accessory, I'm adding a swimming pool. I'm trying to keep costs into consideration, and
you might be able to keep your rings and just replace the septic tank itself. It might be something that might be worth exploring, because this property you might be able to just retrofit it with your existing system.
Yeah, I'd still, and I think you're right, but I believe there was still a cost associated there was a cost associated with it that,
There's
was,
grant money available for these systems now.
yes, yes. And I'm not sure that I necessarily qualified for, again, it was preliminary discussion. I didn't have a great deal of discussion around it, but it did seem in talking with the contractor who would be installing it, that it may be difficult to qualify for any of the grant dollars. And I'd be out of, I'd have to assume that I'd be paying, paying for it in addition to the cost of the pool. And when I looked at all of that, it became a project that I unfortunately wouldn't be able to take on right now.
Are there any other board members that have any thoughts that could help us to sort of assess where we stand?
Well, I'd like to go back to the suggestion that maybe you could sit down with Marty and see if you can't work out some practicable alternative solutions. And if not, maybe we can move ahead with the plan that you have in front of you. But I don't want to reiterate, but what Michael and Jerry have to say about the IA system, I would have to agree with. And that would be something that you may want to look into, explore that a little bit more. I think you should have a work session with Marty and see what you can work out.
And that would be just as looking at, I mean, I know we did certainly look at the other locations. My client was not able to in the time have a surveyor actually plot anything out, but we did try to scale out with with an architect's rule. But that said, if that's the board's feeling that we should sit down with Marty, I'm sure that's something we can do to try to explore those alternatives. I know this plan proposed is definitely our ideal, and we have some doubts about the feasibility of other locations, but
Well, yeah, and after you revisited after you went through the process of the practicable alternatives, we may be able to revisit this plan.
okay, I understand.
Robin, just so you're aware, you don't actually have to have revised surveys prepared in order for us to evaluate options. As all I need is drawings to scale. So I'm not looking for anything official. As long as you provide concept drawings to scale, those are sufficient for my review and additional feedback. So if you want to take some initiative and provide some drawings, I'd be happy to look at them. Otherwise, I can provide some sketches for you and the landowners to consider. My goal again is to work towards a plan that will provide a sizable pool on this property that's going to work in terms of decking and patio space. That's may require a very minor expansion of the buffer, but won't necessitate installation of an IA. So I'm looking to achieve the same goals as the landowner, and I'm happy to continue to work with you to explore options.
Okay, well, we will certainly look at the options and reach out so we can discuss some alternatives.
All right, thank you.
Definitely, thank you.
So is an adjournment date good to be April 14th?
So we're almost up to 5 already again. We've been adjourning
Yeah.
to April 14th all night. If it's not 5, it's at least 4. Be careful.
Yeah, it's 4.
Okay. Because we have 2 more meetings in March that people are going to want to adjourn to, and they're going to be later.
Yeah. Is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak in this application? Are there any hands up, Charlie?
I see no hands.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn to April 14th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Thank you. And the next application is A020063, Andrea Lusso and Maria Stoyanova. And we've heard this application before. Is there someone in the audience coming in on this one?
Yeah, it would be Gina Rigdon.
You're coming in.
Good evening, Gina Rigdon, DKR Shores, here to represent Maria and Andrea in the swimming pool application. Thank you for your patience, board, and thank you, Marty, for the suggestions, the guidance, and the recommendations. Marty emailed after hours last night an alternative sketch. He recommended as well as he had some questions regarding the path that goes to the rear, the road, the paper road, the dirt road behind the house. The clients are here to speak to the board as well. So basically, we did a landscape plan. Karina, can you bring that up? I submitted a landscape plan that I did that summarizes our discussion at the last hearing. And it protects all the trees in the rear yard, and then the distance proposed for the patio is 75 feet, and the pool, swimming pool, in-ground swimming pool is at a point 78.5 feet from a wetland boundary located on the opposite side of the dirt road, a Wells Creek tributary. So, Karina, can you bring it up so they can look at it, or can you let me share?
I'm trying to bring it up right now.
Okay. Can you zoom in a little so they can see it?
I don't have the zoom on the top. That's what I was trying to figure out. I put it here.
Oh, there it goes.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, they can see it now. I can see it.
It's up.
A little bit
Yeah, I can see it.
bigger. There we
All
go.
right, so we can read it now. So the board, if you'd like to make some comments on, now do you also have the sketch that Marty brought up as far as the additional buffer that he's suggesting?
Yes, I do.
In the
I do.
in the northwest sort of arc, Mr. Shea suggested some additional buffer area near the swimming pool, adjacent to the swimming pool, adjacent to that 4-foot wide path, walking path. Hold on. Can you find it?
Yeah, I can't bring them up at the same time, so I have to take this down.
Are we switching back and forth? It's basically my plan, but with Marty's sketches on it. So you'll be looking at identical, just with some additional sketching.
Okay.
Okay, so as you can see, he's proposing some additional square footage of buffer adjacent to the swimming pool area to the west of and rear of the lot. And then a deletion on the south side of the parcel near the property line. would the board like to?
Is that something that you would agree to?
Well, it does also mention, and we did talk about it, about upgrading the IA system. And I simply have not had enough time to do the research. I did have some brief conversations with an engineer. And it seems it's going to be a little more complicated than originally thought. He has part of the leaching pool is in a driveway. And then there's in that kind of circular area in the front yard, there's like 4, I'm guessing here, this is my guess, but it's at least 3 or 4 very large deciduous trees that possibly would be needing to come down to put in an IA system and driveway reconfigurations, if in fact, and I don't think the client wants to go there right now. And the expense, the additional expense of reconfiguring the driveway and deletion of those trees in the front, I think would cause an environmental impact. So the owners are here to speak on the application as well, but they would respectfully agree potentially to that additional buffer area. If they did not have to do the IA system, it's kind of a little like late in the game right now, kind of a day late, $1 short to try to scramble and figure this out for you. So they would like respectfully to request the additional buffer be considered, or the buffer that I drew and not the IA system right now at this point. They were hoping to use the pool for the summer, and this would hold things up considerably, months, potentially months.
Okay, thank you. Marty?
Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. The new plan is different from the former concept plan that was proposed, in that the pool, which is now planned, is considerably larger. At the last hearing, the proposal showed a 10-foot by 24-foot pool. Pool has now increased in size to 12 feet by 30 feet. The pool has been shifted about 1.5 feet closer to the wetlands. At the close of the last hearing, there was, as indicated, there was a consensus on part of the board and the applicant that the board would entertain granting significantly lesser wetland construction setbacks than are required if the existing sanitary system was upgraded to an IAOWTS. I had expressed concern about the possible need to remove the mature trees on the roadside of the house. And now it appears, based on the applicant's testimony, that indeed some of those trees would likely need to be removed. Those trees really enhance the setting of the residence and are important in terms of the environment. So I can understand that why the applicant would be a bit hesitant at this time to further explore upgrading the current sanitary system to an IAOWTS. This, again, this whole layout in terms of the pool location was based upon that offer of mitigation, the offer to install an IAOWTS. As is customary, I'd asked that rather than require that upgrade, that we look to maximize the construction setbacks and buffer setbacks as much as possible. So now that it appears that the applicant does not want to go forward with the sanitary upgrade, the main need, maybe a need to revisit whether or not that pool could be shifted a little bit further back. The expansion of buffer that I recommended in this drawing was based on that history and was based upon the need to have greater connectivity with the existing 100-foot wide naturally vegetated buffer on the budding property to the north. I asked that the strip of buffer be deleted down along the south property line, as the abutting southerly property is already developed and landscaped, and I didn't see that that peninsula buffer would provide any significant benefits in terms of wildlife habitat or filtration of contaminants. The applicant has already expressed an interest in preserving existing trees. So even if that portion of buffer was deleted from this current plan, I'm sure the applicant would still look to preserve that existing tree. So in light of the applicant's decision to not proceed with an offer of an IA upgrade at this time, I think the board does need to, again, take a look at whether or not the construction setbacks and buffer setbacks are being maximized at this site. Prior to the offer of the IA or WTS upgrade, the applicant had provided several drawings. Some of those had put the pool at a greater setback. I understand that the applicant had some concern about possible shading of the pool from the house. I had visited the property to see whether or not a significant portion of the pool would still be outside of the shade. And it did appear to be the case, even if the pool setback was increased. So while we may not need to return to the initial drawings as proposed by the applicant, I would still ask that the applicant again explore whether or not the pool and patio construction setback could be increased at all. And as part of that, again, to revisit the buffer and see if the buffer could be increased as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. So Gina, are you saying that there is no place in this property that an IA system would be appropriate?
I think in order to do it, like I said, we would have to do some major driveway reconfiguration, as well as potentially taking out those trees, because the only place to put it is exactly where those trees are.
So we discussed last time that it might be able to be retrofitted and you can keep the tanks where they are. Did you talk to a design engineer about
I
going
did.
forward?
I talked to DeLadro Andrews, and they did express some concern that one of the leaching pools were in the driveway, which commonly isn't approved now, except if you do a driveway covenant. So it's not that it's not doable, it's that the driveway reconfiguration and the time, I mean, I would have to be coming back to this board months from now and waiting for engineering designs and waiting for health department approvals, and knowing that that pool cannot go in that driveway right there. without doing some extensive covenants and filings with Suffolk County, would mandate that it would need to go in the circular area. And hence, at least half of those trees, if not all of them, would need to come out.
We have,
and
we don't know as a definite that the trees would have to come out. We don't know as a definite if that pool will be used.
I don't know if all of those are definites.
Right, so basically,
I
we're
would need
just
to do
trying to
a lot
rush
more
through because we
research.
want to be able to use it for the summer. And
Right.
we're asking you to explore a practical alternative, and you're just saying, well, we want the pool by the summer and we're not willing to explore the other option. That's what you're saying to me. That's
Well,
what I'm getting
I
at.
think Marty had come up with some potentially alternate solutions. If we can shift it towards the house a couple of feet, it still might be for the most part in the sun. We could also offer the fact that it would be potentially a saltwater pool. And then patio pavers, we could use Ecoporia paver, which is pervious. So those are also some suggestions that I'll
And a
throw
larger
out.
buffer also.
And I really need to have the owners come weigh in on this and speak to you directly. I can't, answer for them what they're willing to accept or not. I'm just trying to do my best to sort of balance the project out.
No, I'm saying Marty wanted a larger buffer, as well. That was the other thing. So, if you couldn't do the IA.
Right. I'm not sure how many feet, besides doing that patched corner. And then how many feet he'd like the pool shifted in order to make this, a go.
What I would recommend to Gina is that you get an alternative drawing to me for consideration. I think we're probably fairly close to working out a compatible plan for this property. I'm not asking, of course, that the pool be shifted so it complies with the 100-foot setback. I'm just looking for some additional setback and some additional buffer. So I think, Gina, that you and I, in concert with the landowner, can probably work out a mutually agreeable concept plan and then bring that back to the board for their consideration.
Maria, Andrea, are you on?
Yeah, we're on. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for having us. We can certainly take it back. Just our perspective. We truly appreciate, Marty, your efforts to entertain all proposals over time. We know that this has gone back and forth multiple times. For the benefit of the board, this is certainly a lot of buffer for us. We see as given a lot of the backyard and the property back in order to get this pool. So our proposal was that we could actually agree to this compromise that you drew out with in this drawing on the blue lines without the system upgrade, which appears to be a lot more complicated. And frankly, we don't have all the information to be able to say whether that's something that we're comfortable undertaking or not. But I can certainly say that this is a lot of buffer from our standpoint, and we were actually thinking that this could be sort of the plan to get the pool in that space there with that broader connection with the adjacent buffer that you recommended. So that's where we were coming in with tonight, but open to discussing further, of course.
Well, Marty made a good suggestion, and maybe that's where you should go right now, and we can revisit this at another time. I'm not happy with not getting an IA system in there, but if Marty's willing to work with you in that aspect, that's always good enough for me, but I think that you have to follow through with some sketches, some alternative plans here and see what you can do.
Understood.
What dates do you have available for postponement?
I'm sorry.
What dates do you have available for the next meeting?
April 28th.
April 28th, okay. All right, I will put it on the calendar. Marty, I'll have something to you in the next couple of days.
Great. Thanks so much, Gina. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for working with us, all the time you've taken visiting the property again and again and again.
And
All.
I assume there's nobody in the audience with their hands up. So we can adjourn to April 28th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael. Thank you all. And now we'll move on to the advisory reports for the ZBA. Richard Varela, I guess.
Did you want to do the minutes first?
Oh, we did that.
Those already.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Teresa Mason from the Environment Division. The property is located on 11 Wells Lane in Hampton Bays. It fronts on Wells Creek, which is designated as a coastal significant fish and wildlife habitat as part of the connection to the Shinnecock Bay. The western portion of Shinnecock Bay, where this is located, has suffered severe water quality declines due to upland redevelopment and various other construction activities and development activities. So there are a lot of health risks posed by harmful algal blooms and the continuing water quality declines. To lessen the severity of impacts, the Conservation Board should recommend that granting of any relief for the deck should be conditioned on the construction of the deck with untreated lumber or other non-toxic alternatives. We did issue a non-jurisdiction for this particular property, as the property is characterized by at least 100 feet of functional bulkhead, and the proposed work is greater than 50 feet from the bulkhead. But notwithstanding that, we are making no determination with respect to variance standards. But again, we are recommending that the deck be constructed of untreated wood and that a dry well be installed for the hot tub.
Thank you, Teresa. Is a motion to send these comments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
The next is Hampton Mecox 1 LLC.
This is Teresa Mason again from the Environment Division. The property is located on North Sea Mecox Road in Watermill. It used to be a former garage. It is now a new home. We had issued a letter of non-jurisdiction for the construction of the new home greater than 200 feet from town and state regulated wetlands, which are located north and northeast of the property. The applicant is looking to seek a variance for a tennis court. Based on our review, it appears that the tennis court does require a wetlands permit, but it is eligible for an administrative wetlands permit in that it does meet the required setbacks and the buffer requirements as well. However, we do recommend that that any variance granted for the project should be conditioned on removal of any fences in excess of 6 feet, as they can prevent wildlife movement and can be harmful to wildlife, particularly young fawns who can get separated from their mothers and various other wildlife. Notwithstanding the eligibility for the admin wetlands permit, we've made no decision on the variance standards.
Thank you, Teresa.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Barbara Swislowski.
Teresa Mason again from the Environment Division. This property is located on Groves Drive in Flanders. The parcel is located adjacent to town-owned open space, which is where the wetlands are located. They are both town and state regulated wetlands. And an administrative wetlands permit was issued last year for the construction of a detached garage as well as a driveway extension. And then that's the other one, Karina. That's Quizahippie. So we had issued a modified permit for small minor changes to the garage configuration and driveway configuration. The survey that was submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals has been approved pursuant to the admin wetlands permit, and notwithstanding the administrative permits that were issued, no decision has been made with regard to the variance issuance standards.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second.
All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Diego, and Marlene Quizahippie.
Teresa Mason again from the Environment Division. This property is located on Flanders Road. The applicant is seeking variances to legalize various structures on the property, inclusive of additions, dormer additions, and also to repair some fire damage. The applicant has submitted an administrative wetlands permit application to our office. It does conform to the required setbacks. They are proposing a sanitary system upgrade. However, the application is currently incomplete, but we have met with the applicant on how to resolve those outstanding issues prior to issuance of that administrative wetlands permit. Notwithstanding the project's eligibility for the admin permit, no determination has been made with respect to the variance standards.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
The
All
administrative.
right, good
wetland
night,
permit-
everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.
The administrative wetland permits are in your packets.
Harry, did we do the advisory report for planning board? Camp Jerome?
Oh, none.
I don't see any.
You're looking at an old agenda, George.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the administrative wetland permits are in your packets. And resolution of conditional approval, A020058, Richard and Wendy Lubkin. Any discussion?
Motion issue?
Second.
Resolve that a conditional wetland permit approval be granted to Richard Lubkin and Wendy Lubkin for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
A020077, Carl Berg and Rachel Berg. Any discussion?
Move to issue?
Second.
Resolve that a conditional wetland permit approval be granted to Carl Berg and Rachel Berg for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
A021009, John McNerney and Angela McNerney. Any discussion?
Move to issue?
Second.
Resolve that a conditional wetland permit approval be granted to John McNerney and Angela McNerney for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor? Harry, I. George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Preliminary review of second determination, A019095, Alexander Napick and other Napics.
Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. This application relates to an existing residentially developed property in Noyak. The lot contains freshwater wetlands and is adjacent to a freshwater pond. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated February 22nd, 2021. The application has been filed in order to construct a elevated swimming pool, as well to undertake other hardscape improvements. The property has some history before the board. There was a covenanted buffer that was previously established that not only extends between the proximate freshwater pond and the house, but also runs along the side of the property. I had a lengthy meeting with the landowners and their agents at the property, at which time we worked out the best plan for the site, and saw that it made sense to both reconfigure and expand the buffer so that the present buffer, which extends a strip along the property line, would be eliminated, and the buffer would be maximized adjacent to the pool. I also asked that the existing asphalt driveway be converted to pervious pavers or pervious stone. The applicant has agreed with these recommendations. We do have sufficient information to make a determination. As such, recommending that the hearing requirement be waived.
Motion to waive the public hearing?
Second,
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-80 of the Town Code. All in favor? Harry, I. George?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Jerry?
aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
A021010, Richard Hayman and Elise Hayman.
This application relates to an existing residentially developed property in the hamlet of West Hampton. It has frontage on Beaver Dam Cove. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated February 22nd, 2021. The application has been filed in order to undertake some minor improvements, inclusive of a trellis and outdoor barbecue on the landward side of an existing slate pool patio. They're also looking to install a hot tub also on the landward side of the pool patio. This property has some history before the board, as indicated on the survey. There is an existing covenanted wetland preservation area and restored naturally vegetated wetland non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. Based upon my recent visit to the property, these existing restricted areas are sufficient to offset any impacts related to the minor additional improvements that are planned. We do have sufficient information in order to make a determination on this application. As such, recommending that the hearing requirement be waived.
Motion to waive the public hearing?
Second.
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-8 of the Town Code. All in favor? Harry, I. George?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Resolution to issue modification, A 020069, Gillian Batchelder.
Yeah, this is actually a modified conditional approval that is being sought. The board had recently acted on an application to legalize deck reconstruction that was conditioned upon establishment of a 50-foot buffer. The applicant had agreed to that buffer and is in the process of drafting the requisite covenants. The applicant had decided that the front entry of the cottage on the roadside needed to be reconstructed. So at this time, they're only seeking a modified conditional approval to make those changes to the front entry. These changes are not going to result in any additional wetland impacts. So there is a resolution before you to modify the conditional approval as requested so that the applicant can go forward with finalizing the surveys and covenants and getting the requisite wetland permit. Thank you.
Motion to issue the modification.
Second.
Resolved that a wetlands permit modification be issued to Gillian Batchelder for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor, Harry, I, George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and that concludes the agenda for tonight. Is there a
Thank you,
motion?
Charlie.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Harry, I, George,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Have a good night. Thank you all.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody get some sleep,
Good night.
everybody.
Good night.